Travis Wayne Goodsell, the tragic tale of Mormon abuse. If you've been watching my videos, I've been talking about Russ, who I've been helping to convert DVDs into a digital format for him to make it easier with his withered right arm. And with the coronavirus, he's gotten his $1,200. Finally, he was late in getting his. So money's not an issue for him, but he's cutting me off from helping him any further and providing him with new stuff. And this is after he talked about how during the riots he's just going to pray and everything will be just fine. God will step in and solve things without any work on his part. When I told him that all the words of the Lord will be fulfilled, you can't pray it away. And he clearly lost his countenance, as these are Mormon speak words. So if you're unfamiliar with Mormonism, you got to understand there's certain wording that we use based on scriptures, words of prophets. For example, words of prophets, covenant path, comes from Nelson. It's not in scripture. Nelson created it. And so now all Mormons go around showing that they're good and worthy by using Nelson's covenant path, for example. So there's certain phrases and words that are known to Mormons as the secret code words to identify a brother from another brother. And so yeah, he was clearly upset that I would dare quote scripture about how all the words of the Lord will be fulfilled concerning the second coming, and that we must flee to Zion, or we have to take up the sword to defend our lives, our liberties, our families, our property. You know, the title of liberty, another code word in Mormonism. And he's part of this brainwashed rising generation of Mormonism that believes that you can just pray things away, not understanding that that's what witchcraft does with their spells. That's what spells are. The spells in and of themselves have no magic power. Abracadabra, open sesame, Hebrew stuff, but it comes from an incorrect understanding of how words have power. Words are useless unless you act on them. And that's the true Mormon doctrine that Mormons have lost. It's completely foreign to them now, as a misinterpretation of Moroni chapter 10, verses 3 through 5, has taught Mormons that all they need to do is read, ponder, pray, and that's sufficient work to receive revelation, so that they don't have to do any work to fulfill the revelation. The revelation in and of itself is the end result for Mormons. And no, you took out manifest, and you took out by the power of, and didn't connect it to the actual process of by the power of in Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28. It talks about gardening or farming as the metaphoric example of the work that's necessary once you receive revelation. Mormons missed that. And Russ missed that, and now he's angry with me because he thought that as long as he prayed, he had fire insurance. No longer tithing. It's now prayer is now the fire insurance. I hope Mormons realize that your tithing is not going to save you from the burning that we've experienced over the weekend. My God, so hot. But this is it. We are in riot mode. We seem to have been silenced for Pentecost yesterday. Not the Jewish one, that started it. The Christian one silenced it. And what happens when people get silenced, it means that the bullies win. The police, the governors, the mayors, even the rights activists who are getting up and saying, hey, no, you can't riot. That's an unequal, it's a disproportionate response. Excuse me? Destruction of property is a disproportionate response to executions on live television all throughout the nation? I'm sorry, but that's just not right. And shame on those activists who are telling their people to cut it out. Shame on you. People are rioting because our leaders in government, business, religion are not listening to us. They are not stopping the violence towards us. They are not stopping the murders against us. And yes, it's disproportionate affecting blacks, but I have been a victim here in Utah. I've talked about that over and over. And others examples. Nurse Wubbles, for example, is a popular one here in Utah, but I'm sure everybody's forgotten about her now. But in that same situation, they refused to do a proportionate response to the officer to punish him. They did the token acknowledgement and still refused to go all the way through. They were hoping to give him a light slap on the wrist and hope that people would forget about it and move on. Get over it, as Mick Mulvaney infamously told America. We commit crimes all the time. Get over it. I mean, this is we're being murdered, people. Not just by police officers, by our government for failing us under coronavirus. And we have Mormons like Russ who just say, oh, I'm just going to pray and God will protect me. That's not the prophecy. That's not the prophecy. You're supposed to flee to Zion. And we have no Zion to flee to. That's the problem. Because we are going to witness, as did Ether and Moroni, again, more code words for Mormons, the entire destruction of America. We're in it. It's being destroyed. You have a president who constantly is pushing and ordering the murder of American citizens. Just the most recent examples were him tweeting about an infamous governor who was a white supremacist. John Oliver talked about it. Watch his show. I caught Trump saying the KKK rally cry, the white supremacist rally cry of America First. It's MAGA night at the White House. He was calling for help. And nobody stops him. And Instead, he goes after Antifa, which he already put a stop to Antifa back in Charlottesville. So, yeah, it's just, he just strawmans victims. And I saw a clip this morning about an undercover police officer who was trying to provoke the police to justify more murders, gassing, shooting the press, gassing the press, arresting the press. I mean, is this just a proportionate response to the riots when the police officer committed first blood? You know, everybody has got this all wrong. They're not thinking right. The only ones that do seem to be thinking right are the ones who are protesting and have to escalate to property destruction, which is very merciful compared to the first blood of murder. Dear God. So, yeah, I lost another Mormon friend today, and he's the kind of person who claims to love everybody, and yeah, bullshit.